sometimes it's really hard to find the channel that God is on. Sometimes, just like it might be hard to find the channel that we're broadcasting on, sometimes it's hard to find the channel that God is broadcasting on. I look at like a radio tuner. Sometimes you need to have that tuning of the radio, and the old school radio that have the dials, now they're digital and you can just punch in the radio. But before there was a dial and you had to try to find the station you were looking for by turning the dial ever so slightly. And I kind of feel like sometimes that's how it is with finding what God is saying. There's so many radio stations that are out there, but there is one voice of God, and God is speaking to each and every one of us, or He is desiring to speak to us. I should say He's speaking. What we need to be doing is trying to hear and trying to find what that station is. And so this is not on my notes, but I want to give just this quick little lesson here on just trying to hear God, because sometimes that sounds like an enigma or something impossible to do, but hearing God is not impossible to do at all. In fact, if I were to ask how many of you ever felt like you got direction from God, there are many people would have said that, I feel like God directed me in something. I feel like God led me to do something at one point in time. Can I tell you, that's how you start off finding the radio station or starting to find out the channel that God has been speaking to you or is speaking to you. Go back to what He's told you before. Reminisce and remind yourself on what He said before. That's what David did. David, when he was going up and he was going to fight Goliath, he said, I remember when I killed the lion and the bear, who is this uncircumcised Philistine? When everyone else was afraid of the Goliath, David went and tried to find the voice of the Lord and remembered the acts of God in his life. And that helped him tune into what God was doing during that time when everyone else was broadcasting fear, right? Obviously, there's a parallel to now. There'll be a lot of parallels to what's going on now as I'm preaching and speaking right now. But just like there was a parallel of everyone's going in fear, David did not cower in fear. Instead, he turned into a different channel. And not only did he listen to what that channel was speaking, he likewise let that and released that out of his mouth as well. And then he started being a broadcaster or a satellite himself of what God was saying.